straight to the battleground seat of Gilmore on the New South Wales South Coast. My colleague, our political editor Andrew Clennell, is there in the coastal town of Kiama, beautiful part of the world, also the centre of a fierce political contest right now.
Well, is it ever, Kieran? I mean, this is a seat the Liberal Party expects to win. It's probably the only seat it expects to win from Labor, but it's a tough battle. It's 2.6%, and I don't think Andrew Constance is 100% confident yet. I've been out with that Liberal candidate, the former New South Wales Transport Minister, out as he door knocks with him, talking to voters, seeing what the big issues are for them. I'll be doing it in other seats, including with Labor candidates, during the course of the campaign. And what I can tell you out of Gilmore from Culburra Beach, for the couple of hours door knocking we did out there, well, the old saying is all politics are local. And that's certainly what we saw. Andrew Constance is campaigning on local roads. Ironic, given that he was roads minister for 2 years in New South Wales and treasurer for a couple of years on top of that. But that's all his brochure is about, the one he was handing out. Even has his personal mobile number on it. That's how keen he is to be seen to hear from constituents. And pretty much every door that was knocked, they were talking about roads. They weren't talking about China and the Solomons. They weren't talking about the economy and taxes. They were talking about roads. They were talking about access to healthcare, even NBN. And one interesting comment from one woman was that she said she wanted to see who was likely to win the election before deciding who to vote for, because she knew that Gilmore would receive more if they had a candidate from the same party as the winner. She actually said this to Andrew Constance. Let's listen to a woman who approached Andrew Constance from her house on the street, and she told him her concerns were roads, health and NBN. Her name is Tanya. Tell us what the big issues are here, in your opinion.
I think with Culburra we have some issues with our road network, NBN and also medical facilities. So we have a lot of people who visit, but there's a community here of aged people that need support. I know for me personally, going to the doctor takes weeks. So I feel like there are probably three main issues that we've got in this area.
And what sort of politics do you think can address them, or maybe neither can address them? Where are you at in terms of whether either side of politics has an answer on this?
Tough job, tough answer. I think whoever's in has a tough time with COVID and so forth. So just whoever can come up with a plan and some actions would be fantastic. So. Okay, not everyone wanted to be on camera, although I heard about all their concerns, as did the man running for the seat. One person who was prepared to be on camera after having his door knocked was a member of the Labor Party. His name was Roger. Interesting here in the sense that he said, although obviously he'll be supporting Labor, he does like Andrew Constance, and that's what the government is hoping for in terms of the contest for this seat. What are the issues for this election? What's your view?
The main issue, of course, is climate change. And the main issue is incompetence and corruption. So, I mean, unless you have an integrity commission established, we're never going to get anywhere.
But you said this bloke, Andrew Constance, is okay. Why do you think that?
Because whenever I've heard him speaking, he's spoken genuinely. He's a genuine sort of person. That's why I think he came out on the bushfires. He's empathetic with the people. And so, I would find him a very good friend if I had to say anything about him.
Bit of a common theme there. Heavily tattooed man came to Andrew Constance at the Culburra Beach shops and said to me, "Here's the only genuine one. That's why he'll have my vote." Well, Andrew Constance, I put to him this sentiment of this woman who said to him at one of the doors, "I'm looking for who's going to win before making up my mind." And I said, "Well, how do you feel about that?" But one woman said something very interesting. She said, she sounded like head office of Sussex Street, frankly. She said, "I want to vote for the winning side because I know whoever wins will be able to deliver more for the communities." Something in that, isn't there?
Look, I mean, obviously, yes, it's a benefit of being a member of the government. I mean, I had 8 years in opposition, as you know, back in the early part of my parliamentary career. But look, if the argument's there to deliver, what's interesting in this sense is that with this campaign, Labor have been matching my commitments. So at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter who's in power. We will get that $40 million to start the rebuild of the local roads. We are going to get that $40 million to commence the work with the Nowra bypass.
A lot of undecided there. Andrew Constance himself said after our door knock, you can see a lot of soft vote there. The election really is up for grabs. One gentleman said, I'm not that impressed with Scott Morrison, but what is the alternative that Anthony Albanese is proposing? And he didn't see much policy from both sides. So I put this to Andrew Constance. Another voter saying, not convinced by what Scott Morrison's done, but not convinced by anything Anthony Albanese is offering. Do you hear a bit of that?
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, when I do hear that, I'm able to present the case in terms of Scott Morrison. I mean, one of the big things that he did do right back at the start of the pandemic was turn the planes off from China. So there are things that he's done along the way which were the right decisions for our country. And, you know, I think certainly he hasn't had the, you know, if you look at the country since World War II, there hasn't been a PM who's had that much pressure on a daily basis in terms of those crises. You know, for Albo, yeah, he was able to hide behind COVID and make himself a small target strategy. In fact, to be honest with you, given the nature of COVID, he was always going to struggle to get his message across anyway, even if he wanted to be a big target. But now that the spotlight's on him, as you know, people are sort of saying, well, he's not ready to govern.
So I've said the Liberals feel they're ahead in this seat of Gilmore. Both sides concede it's going to be hard for the government not to lose 2 seats in Perth. To achieve minority government, Labor probably only needs to win 4 or 5 seats net. So Gilmore is just absolutely critical to both sides and certainly critical to Scott Morrison. But Labor has a plan, as I understand it, in the last couple of weeks to bombard the place with advertising around Scott Morrison's reaction to the bushfires, and they believe they can come back and win the seat. Andrew Constance is certainly saying it's a tight race. The Liberals, Morrison's team, believe you can win this seat, that you're looking very good to win it. Are you that assured about the result?
This is about the community. It's their say. That's how it should be. I'm just trying to be positive.
Are you expecting a tight fight, though, or do you think you've 100%. Got a pretty good chance?
100%. It's going to be tight.
So there was a view in there, I'm just looking at a few of the comments from the people we door knocked. The Liberal Party does nothing for people who don't vote for them, one said. Another said how good that the vaccine mandates are off. We're glad that they've ended. Another said Morrison will be better than Albanese. And there was no mention of China except a Labor voter who said, I wish Dutton wouldn't rattle the sabre so much on China. So, but certainly it was all about the local roads. As I say, Andrew Constance has committed $40 million. It's a start. It's not what's required in that Shoalhaven area in particular. They reckon it's the worst potholed area in the state of New South Wales. We know Fiona Phillips, the Labor candidate, has matched that commitment. It shapes as a fascinating contest, but it shows why you've got all these $2 million, $5 million grants being promised by both sides, because people are focusing, at least in this seat, it seems to me, on the local issues, not the big picture economy, national security issues, Kieran.